All right, how's it going, everybody? 16-4. First off, congratulations. You have survived more than half of the open. We are into the fourth workout. And lo and behold, we've got a rowing machine in the mix. So I've got Katie Hart, CrossFit rowing extraordinaire instructor with us. She's going to help us go through some tips and tricks. I want to talk about this kind of in two parts. Number one is if you are a high-level competitor, elite athlete, maybe you're going to regionals, this is probably not necessarily the strategy video for you. Awesome resources out there. Outlaw is fantastic. A bunch of other places that you can go check out if you're going to go unbroken and just crush this thing. For most of us, though, we're going to want to think a little bit more about strategy, right? So we were just talking about this. We've kind of been talking about it all day, maybe probably since last night. I don't know. Since last night.
8 o'clock.
Since about 8 o'clock last night. And we've seen a few folks go through this now, so we've got a little bit of an idea about what works and what doesn't. So we're going to kind of go through this one movement at a time, right? 16-4, that's terrible. Who put that marker in the mix? 16-4, 55 deadlifts. Starting here strategy-wise, your pacing on this and your strategy on this is going to really depend about where you're working relative to your maximum capacity. So if you're somebody like Katie who is using a weight that is well within her ability, I'm going to say sets of, depending on how heavy this is for you, 7 to 15, maybe 20 reps is going to be a lot more efficient, and your cycle time is going to be a lot faster, right? Other videos, other resources have talked about using the rebound off the floor to a reasonable extent. Obviously, if you're throwing the barbell at the floor and catching it, those are no reps, right? But and it has happened, otherwise I wouldn't have to feel like I have to say it. If, however, you are somebody who's working within, 15-20% of your max deadlift, what we've seen so far is people coming out of the gate with a set of 5 reps. They're like, oh, dear Lord, this is heavy. And then they go to sets of 2s and 3s, and it's taken a long time to get through the deadlifts. We had one athlete this morning, took almost 5 minutes to get through the deadlifts because he way overshot out of the gate and then ended up with really small sets and struggling. Doing singles, right? Singles on these, 10 reps is about 35 seconds. One at a time. Lift, drop it. Wait for it to stop bouncing, and that's it. Don't rest, don't breathe, don't think. Just grab the bar and pick it back up again. Drop it, pick it up, drop it, pick it up, drop it, right? At this rate, it's going to take you a little bit under 3 minutes to get through all of your deadlifts. If you can maintain that and keep your heart rate down, you're going to be in much better shape coming into 55 wall balls. Pacing on these, this wants to be a steady aerobic state, right? So as much as it's the open and as much as we love to dive into the pain cave, I'm going to say my recommendation is that we break these up into manageable chunks. You don't want to game it too much. Sets of 5 are just going to take you forever, and you're going to be emotionally devastated, right? 3 sets in. But if you can manage sets of 10 or 15 or 20 on these, you're going to be in a much better place.
I think that rep scheme of 20, 15, 10, and 10 might be a good one to use here.
I think that's a great idea, as long as that first set of 20 isn't going to blow you out of the water, right? Again, even though it's only 13 minutes, it's going to be about pacing and maintaining a sustainable rate, right? So 20, 15, 10, 10, I think gets you through without a whole lot of mental exhaustion and at a reasonable rate. So if you're somebody who's 8 feet tall, when you stand up and reach your arms overhead, maybe you can do larger sets, right? We've got a couple of those folks. I'm looking at you, Nick. If you are somebody who is jumping on every rep to get that ball up to your 10-foot mark or 9-foot mark respectively, maybe you want to think about a slightly different rep scheme. But your goal really is to manage your heart rate, manage your breathing, and stay steady. Don't crush yourself trying to game these wall balls too much. Right? Which brings us to the Katie Hart special, 55 calorie row. I'm going to say that this is where the workout is. Yes?
I would have to agree.
Yeah.
Because I think might not be where you win the workout, but it sure as heck is where you could lose a whole lot of time if you treat this portion as your rest piece with the workout. I don't believe that there's any rest time, and certainly not during the calorie row. what I would suggest is getting on the rowing machine, starting up that rower with your half, three-quarters full start.
Right, so kind of sprint, for those of you who've been through some rowing drills, sprint start style, right? Get the flywheel moving.
First 4 strokes, get the flywheel moving, not with your arms, that's just going to jack your heart rate up, but get that flywheel moving with your legs with short, powerful strokes. You're coming off of wall balls where your heart rate probably will be elevated anyway. And so you're going to feel like you want to rest, but don't treat the whole piece as your rest piece. Go in, maybe take 10, 20 strokes, and that's it, just to kind of remind yourself that you're not doing wall balls anymore and that you are on a brand new movement, and then lock in,
dig in,
and produce some power here. Keep your stroke rate somewhere between, I don't know, I would say somewhere between a 22 and 26. Don't go any higher than that because your heart rate is just going to be jacked up.
Which is going to leave you in a bad place coming off the rower.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And the lower calories per hour on the machine, the significantly longer amount of time, and actually if you were to change it over to meters, the significantly more meters you're actually going to be rowing. So you can save some time by just pushing a little harder.
Yeah, so we know, right, the calories are not linear, right? If your pace time is really low, right, if your pace time is, say 3 minutes, that's a really slow 500 meter pace, right? Your calories per hour are really slow or really low, and you're going to end up rowing more meters here, right? If you hold a much faster 500 meter pace time, just to kind of put this in a context of something you guys are more familiar with on the monitor, your calorie count goes like this, right? Your calories really skyrocket, and you will accumulate those calories much faster. So, while I don't want you to explode on the rower, right?
And you're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to row at your peak splits when you get on the machine. But it's possible you give yourself that recovery time, right? Those 10 to 20 strokes, you will be able to dig in and find your power.
Yeah. So getting on the rower, right? You want to maybe take some time here and relax, but then we want to move into this range because this is really going to be much more effective at accumulating those calories. Depending on how aggressive of a rower you are or how much you hate rowing, depending on what camp you're in, who would hate rowing?
No.
Right? No, nobody. Nobody would hate rowing. 55 calories is going to be the equivalent of somewhere between 700 and maybe 14 or 1500 meters, right? So there's a huge difference in how quickly you can get that to go by. It's going to be the difference between maybe 2.5 and 4, maybe even 4.5 minutes if you're really taking your time on the rower. So, take some time to settle in, but don't treat it like your rest, right?
Totally.
You're going to dive into that.
Yeah. Check out some form videos. The biggest thing is people are, just watching athletes go. They're throwing their shoulders back, which is an open hip movement too early. Think about pushing that machine away. If you push that machine away, you're going to use those legs a whole lot.
Almost like a deadlift, right?
Similar to the deadlift.
Drive
not
the floor.
Like your wall balls.
Right.
Wall balls attacks the quads. We want the rower. We want that movement to attack the hamstrings and the glutes.
Right. Yeah. If you're watching if you're watching somebody deadlift and they're opening their hip up way early, it looks awful, and you're like, stop, don't do that, right? Put the bar down. Katie sees the same thing on the rowing machine, right? So drive the legs, right? Check out some technique videos, right? Maybe we'll even link a few in the comments down here. There's a ton of stuff out there. But get through the row. That really, I think, is going to be where the workout is either you make up some lost time here, or you at least hold steady on your pace, or you kind of take a nosedive and fall off the edge right there. Last piece, 55 handstand push-ups, right? Or if you're scaling, these are hand release push-ups. Boy, it would be cool if that acronym worked for both, but it doesn't. Handstand push-ups or hand release push-ups. This is going to be a big wall for a lot of people, right? So in terms of scaling on this, I'm going to say that this is a great opportunity, if you can handle the weight up here, to go prescribed, right? Especially if you're somebody who's been frustrated by a lot of the scaling options thus far. You may hit the wall on the handstand push-ups. You may not be able to get one, or maybe you can. Maybe you get your first handstand push-up and you surprise yourself. So I think, again, just like the rowing, there's a lot of great gymnastics tutorials on the handstand push-up out there. This is the standard where we establish a line using our wrists, right? And if you were around last year, there was a whole bunch of revelations about what that means for the handstand push-up, and I think we did a video right last year. So we'll try to find that link again. Also, I'm sure you guys can find it on YouTube.
Flex the ankles. That's
yeah, this is the like anti-gymnastic. Like, don't point your toes. Flex your toes, right? Get the heels up over that line. Also, we really want to avoid that big broken banana back position that puts your butt on the wall when you're in your handstand. That's going to drop your heels below the line. You're going to end up with a ton of no reps if this is something that you're working through. I also think whether you're doing the handstand push-ups or the hand release push-ups, these get hard really fast, right? So if you're handstand push-upping, you can focus on a good solid kip, right? That takes a lot of load off of the shoulders, which have just done a ton of work in the wall balls, so they're not going to be feeling super fresh. Look, I'm Katie Hart. No, I'm not. Sorry, guys. Technical issues. This is like the 5th take. It may be time to upgrade my camera, phone, whatever it is, gizmo. Anyways, handstand push-ups, we were talking about these. I really honestly don't remember where the edit left us off. So there's a great video that Katie and I did on some of the technique points that we want to think about with these handstand push-ups, because we did bring back the standard from last year in setting the line with the wrists. So I will try to link that in the notes below the video here, so check that out. Whether you're doing the handstand push-ups or scaling to the hand release push-ups, we want to think small sets and short rests. It's way better to come off the wall or sit up for a second, get your weight off your arms. Don't rest upside down on the handstand push-up, please. Small sets, short rests. The reality is, for most of us, 13 minutes is going to end shortly after the row, and we're not likely to get through all 55 of whatever pushing variation we're doing. However, that doesn't mean that you should blow yourself out and then run out the clock being frustrated not getting any reps to count. So if you get here and you've got 20 seconds left, by all means, bury the needle and really dive in. Otherwise, pace it out a little bit, shake your arms out between reps. I don't think there's any reason that you should end the workout without getting some of these in there, as long as you make it through the row reasonably well. Mobility-wise, we want to open up overhead positions. We have a lot of overhead movement in the wall balls and the handstand push-ups. So hanging, peanut into the thoracic spine, barbell mashing into the traps, digging into the lats, all of that stuff, super helpful. Deadlift, wall balls, calorie row, all these very hip intensive. So getting into the front of the hip with a kettlebell, band distractions, squat series, lunge series, all of that stuff is going to help get the hips more mobile and really get you guys moving a lot better. So mobility-wise, you've got some stuff to do there. Warm-up-wise, you want to spend 13 to 15 minutes getting the blood moving, breaking a sweat, breathing hard, also prepping specific movements. So dead bugs, Cossack squats are all going to help open the hips up in addition to your mobility work. Also, warming up your deadlift, couple sets, light, medium, working weight, get to that and make sure your body feels comfortable with that load. Some pushing movements or some crawling movements, some push-ups, some handstands, some bear crawls, all that stuff is going to be good for warming these things up. Mix and match for that 13 to 15 minute duration. If a rower is available, jump on a rower for a few minutes. Get a sense for where your pace is going to be, what calorie per hour rate feels comfortable for you. That's really going to vary by individual, so I'm not going to make a real specific recommendation on that. Most importantly, before we sign off, what shoes do you wear? Wear the ones that match your outfit. Of course, don't do that. I don't know. Maybe you have a pair that matches your outfit. I'm going to say overall, Oli shoes are your best choice here. They're going to help in the wall balls. They're going to help in the row. They do affect the handstand push-up in that it becomes really important that you're not pointing your toes. Yes, I said that on camera. Don't point your toes. Pull your toes down just like in a dead bug. Anyways, and they're not going to make a huge difference on the deadlift one way or the other. Different people have different opinions on that elevated heel with the deadlift, but I think overall, your Oli shoe is your best bet for this particular workout. Anyways, hopefully the edit where Katie disappeared wasn't too terribly shocking. I promise you she's still here, she's still around, she'll be at the gym, and so will I. So, enjoy the workout, and we'll see you around.